Welcome to Sunday School. I hope that you are having a great time at home. Well, I wonder, do you remember what we're doing in this series, these several Bible stories that we're doing in a row this month? Right, we're talking about Moses. Do you remember when I told you that Moses had the most adventurous life, starting when he was a baby? Right, we heard the story of baby Moses being put into the river just to save his life. And the Pharaoh's daughter went and found him and raised him, even with the help of Moses' own mother. God does amazing things. Then we learned about God calling to Moses, saying, "Moses, come here. I know you, and I know that you would be a good leader," teaching us that God has us be leaders too. And now we are still in Egypt, and there's still Pharaoh, and Pharaoh is still the king that is not a nice king at all. In fact, he is keeping God's people, the Israelites, in a camp and making them do horrible, hard work. And God is not liking this. God does not like how Pharaoh is treating these people. So God gives Pharaoh 10 chances. Now think about that, 10 chances. How many times does somebody in your family ask you to do something? Maybe go get your laundry, or go brush your teeth, go get dressed, go take a bath. How many times does somebody have to tell you to do that? Now I'm thinking, if I had to tell my kids 10 times to brush their teeth, I might be getting a little grumpy. But God loves us so much. He loves all people. So God gives Pharaoh 10 chances to let the people go. Now, I'm just thinking back about our stories, and I don't think Pharaoh's going to want these people to go. Pharaoh needs them to work. They're doing hard work for free because they're slaves. Might take a lot of convincing to let these people go. Let's read our Bible story to find out those 10 chances that God gave Pharaoh. We're going to read 2 stories out of this Bible. Our first story is free from slavery. When Moses was alive, the Hebrew people were also called Israelites. Many Israelites were slaves in Egypt. Moses and his brother Aaron were their leaders, and they went to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, and they said, "Our God says, 'Let my people go.'" "I don't believe in your God," shouted Pharaoh. "Now get back to work." Hearing this, God said to Moses in a thundering voice, "Watch what I will do to Pharaoh. He will let my people go. Tell my people, I will free all of you and bring you back to the land that I promised Abraham." Because they had been slaves for so long, it was hard for people to believe Moses. So God ordered again, "Tell Pharaoh to let my people go." Moses worried that Pharaoh might not listen to him, but Moses did what God said. It was hard for Moses to do what God asked. What is the hardest thing you ever had to do? Let's read our next story. It's called The Plagues. God gave Moses a big job. Moses had to stand up to a very stubborn king who was making God's people work as slaves. God told Moses to go to Pharaoh and say, "Let my people go." But Pharaoh said, "No, I will not let God's people go." Pharaoh wanted the people to worship him, not to worship God. So God used 10 ways. These ways are called plagues. 10 plagues to change Pharaoh's mind. God turned the Nile to blood. God turned the Nile to blood. That means the river. He turned the water to blood. The river began to stink. Pharaoh watched the river turn red. He knew his people would not drink. And Pharaoh still said no. God sent frogs to hop everywhere, even into people's beds. Pharaoh heard his bakers scream when his frogs jumped out of their breads. And still, Pharaoh said no. God thought giant gnats might change Pharaoh's mind so the people could go free. Gnats swarmed people. They swarmed goats and cows, and there was no place to flee. And Pharaoh still said no. Flies, thought God. That will do the trick. And so God sent a zillion flies to Pharaoh's house and filled it up with flies, and outside there were 1,000,000. And still, Pharaoh said no. God now struck down on Pharaoh's herds. The camels all were sick. The donkeys and horses all got sick. His cows fell down. But still, Pharaoh said no. Ooey gooey icky sores on everybody's skin. God knocked and knocked on Pharaoh's heart, and Pharaoh never let God in. And Pharaoh still said no. Hail pounded, thunder crashed, Pharaoh's plants laid down. Not a tree stood anywhere. All were gone on the ground. And still, Pharaoh said no. Let my people go, said God, or I will send a swarm of locusts to devour what's left, to do your land more harm. And still, Pharaoh said no. Now darkness covered Pharaoh's land. The sun did not appear. No one could move. No one could see. Still, Pharaoh's heart would not hear. And Pharaoh still said no. The last and the saddest plague of all brought sobs throughout the land. Parents cried as their children died. Finally, Pharaoh changed his plans. Pharaoh let God's people go. Think about what plague that you would like the very least and tell your family why. So all of those horrible things were happening in the land of Egypt. God sent one horrible thing after another, trying to convince Pharaoh to let the people go. I mean, I can't imagine if all the water was undrinkable. I can't imagine if everywhere I looked were frogs hopping. I can't imagine if there were flies and bugs everywhere. You couldn't even breathe without breathing them in. These sound horrible. I think I would have stopped at chance number one. How about the sores, the ooey gooey sores on everybody's skin? It just seems horrible. God was begging Pharaoh to let the people go. And Pharaoh still said no. Until the worst plague of all, the saddest plague of all, the children of the Egyptians were dying. The very firstborn son and all of the Egyptian families were dying. That was the saddest. Pharaoh had a son. And that's what it took for Pharaoh to say, okay, go ahead, go. Let's take a moment to pray. Loving God, thank you for always sending people to help us when we need them the most. We love you. Well, I have something to help you remember this crazy story, these 10 chances. Thought we could make some hopping frogs. So what you're going to need is a piece of paper. I have a piece of paper cut into a rectangle with a frog face on it that I got off the internet, and the other side's white. But you don't need that. You can get a green piece of paper or you can get a white piece of paper, and we're just going to fold it into different ways to make it a frog. Should we try it? All right, let's try. Step number 1 is to fold it in half, long ways. Can you do that? And then we're going to open it back up. And then we're going to fold a corner like this. And then open it up and fold the other corner. just like that, and then open it up. And now we're going to fold it down like that. See all my fold lines? And I'm gonna open it up. And actually, it might help if I fold it back like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two fold lines and I'm gonna push them in. See how I do this? I'm gonna do it slowly. Push these ones in and push this flat to make an arrow. Okay, now that I have my arrow, see how it has two flaps? I'm gonna take one and fold it up. You see that? So I just took this corner, I'm gonna do it again, and I'm gonna fold it up. Just like that. See, so now I have, on this side I have that, and on this side I have it. You can kind of see. Okay, now I'm going to take this side, and I'm gonna fold this side to the middle. Like that. Then I'm going to take this side and fold it to the middle, just like that. Kind of looks like an arrow on this side, but I'm working more with the open area. Okay, see this diamond right here? I'm going to take the end and I'm going to fold it up so it's in the middle of the diamond. See that? There's the diamond. I'm going to fold it up so it's in the middle. Okay, now the part that I just folded up to the middle of the diamond to make a triangle, I'm gonna fold this one halfway down. So I'm just taking it up from here and folding it down. I'll show you one more time. So it was like this, and now I'm just taking that and folding it down. So I made my frog upside down. I didn't really pay attention. So what I'm going to do is I'm just gonna color these eyes in like they're little spots. And then I'll make some eyes up here. Or a bit, and then maybe I'll make some more spots so it doesn't look funny. There we go. So our frog eyes need to be at the point. And these parts right here are their little feet, and then this are the back feet. Can you see it on my Bible? And if I flip the back, he kind of jumps a little bit. Maybe you can make some frogs and have little frog races. All right, my friends, thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.